Well, you know what I'm going to say. It all came down to those things that are not measurable by telemetry in the garage. And Valtteri summed it up yet again after qualifying when he said everything felt right. The car felt good, the lap felt pretty good, didn't know where the time was, need to look at the data. Sorry, Valtteri, to repeat the point, the data will not show it. The difference between you and Lewis around a lap of Bahrain on a new set of soft Pirellis, 0.3 of a second, was all about the management of the dynamic weight as brought to crystal clear evidence through the turn 9, turn 10 section. And if you're doing it there, which is a series of corners that really rewards that sort of touch, he's doing it everywhere else as well, and it all adds up. Now, it won't show on the numbers, it won't show on the telemetry, but that is what Lewis Hamilton, 7 times world champion, is all about. And you could see today in his face afterwards how much he was just enjoying the purity of that single qualifying lap on a great set of qualifying tyres. It's what, for Lewis, life has always been all about. And that's why I think he's been able to sustain his motivation for so long. Because for Lewis, it's all about getting out of bed in the morning, driving a racing car on the absolute limit, preferably under a lot of pressure, and beating the world. But he's been doing it for so long now, you would imagine that some of the other attractions of the world would have paid their price on his motivation, but they haven't, because he just loves to touch the surface of the road and to adapt his driving from corner to corner depending on the feel he's getting back through the road. And that is something, as I keep saying, that telemetry will never give you. And it's all about natural feel, adjusting with very supple inputs into the steering, brakes and throttle, all the things that he does so naturally. And Valtteri, you for sure will win some poles in the future. You'll win some more races in the future. But for sheer natural feel of manipulating the car into some sort of stable platform around which you have confidence, there is no peer for Lewis Hamilton. And when you have the sort of stability that Lewis is generating through turns 9, 10 into the braking area for 10 and then giving himself that amazing exit out of 10, that's basically the lap done. Yeah, you've got those quick corners down the hill. Yeah, you've got some braking areas which you can play around with. Perhaps you can brake a little bit here. Perhaps you can come out of the brakes a little bit sooner or softer there. But ultimately, it is about having 9, 10 as the centerfold of your lap. Max Verstappen, a very good P3 for Red Bull Honda. Very similar lap, very similar performance to Lewis Hamilton's. The yardstick, of course, the teammate. In this case, he was 0.6 quicker than Alex Albon. That's a lot. Mind you, Albon did have the shunt yesterday and he's driving a new car now, but whose fault was that? Sergio Perez was next. Very good lap for Racing Point Mercedes, ahead of the rest. As you'd expect, very good car, and the teams looked very good all weekend. But where was Lance Stroll? He didn't make it through to Q3, even though he was P2 in Q1. Very good lap right at the end. But in a fragmented Q2, he was in and out of the car. And when he went out for his second run, he was still on the same used set of medium tyres, whilst everybody else went for a new set. And that, of course, put him out of the game. All but Lando Norris and Alex Albon starting on the medium tyre. Albon on soft tyres in Q2, 0.7 away nonetheless from Max Verstappen, who of course is on the medium in Q2. So Alex Albon still struggling to play the role of the other driver at Red Bull. You should be within 2 to 3 tenths for that to be a comfortable situation. So where were the Ferraris? I said yesterday high midfield probably. I think it was probably a little bit too optimistic. Just a complete lack of grip really. Cannot get the tyres to work. Sebastian said afterwards that he had a few bobbles, but of course that is symptomatic of a car that is lacking grip. They're in the midfield and they can't even say at this point, well, at least we've got a choice of tyres, because everybody ahead of them is going to be on the medium anyway. So not a good looking Sunday for Ferrari. So that's that. I guess Max Verstappen starting on the clean side of the grid brings a nice little edge to the run down to the first corner. Valtteri Bottas will be looking obviously to try to make a good start, to try to salvage something from this 2020 year. But for Lewis Hamilton, it's just another day in Nirvana. It was one of those days in Bahrain when, for a driver of his quality, everything is happening in slow motion. He has lots of time to do everything, and it showed through in his body language in the car.